Welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. In Trenton, they really do have discussions, believe it or not, about bringing down property taxes and saving taxpayers money. And one of the ideas that's being floated is to consolidate municipalities. It is an idea that is a bit controversial. And here to talk about it is Marc Pfeiffer, professor at the Bloustein School of Planning and Public Policy at Rutgers, and Chad Goerner, former mayor of Princeton Township. The reason he's a former mayor is because they consolidated. Thank you both for being here. I really appreciate it. Princeton Township, Princeton Borough consolidated. You saw that as a positive thing.
It was without a doubt a positive thing. Not just in terms of cost savings, but in terms of service efficiency, delivery, and the sharing of resources that we didn't have previously. I think we should be talking about consolidation. I am in agreement with Marc in the sense that, I don't believe it should be mandated, but I think it should be incentivized. And I think we should add it to our municipal toolkit. And I think, unfortunately, what's happening, and that may be part of, the study that we can talk about, is that it's being replaced by just a discussion of shared services. And the reason why it's being replaced by a discussion of shared services only is because it doesn't infringe upon home rule. And I think that is really a mistake. And what we need to be doing is making sure that consolidation and shared services are two proven, viable options for municipalities to consider. And we need to deploy the resources at the state level and also have incentivized legislation in order to encourage those activities to happen.
When they talk about worrying about home rule, that seems to be the controversial part. And it sounds to me like that comes down to ego.
It's probably a bunch of different things. The study that we did that you mentioned, what we found is that smaller municipalities tend to have smaller costs per capita, lower costs per capita when it comes to running a municipal government. That was what the numbers show. The problem is that we don't think you can consolidate your way into property tax savings. Consolidation has been in the toolbox for decades. We've made it easier to use over the last couple of years. In my former life, I worked for the Division of Local Government Services. I was involved in the Princeton consolidation, actually one in the 90s as well. And we changed the way municipal consolidation can happen to make it easier for municipalities to study consolidation. The problem is the studies we've had over the last decade and a half, only one has been successful, and that was the Princeton's. So it is a tool that's there.
Well, so they did it right. We should be listening to him.
They did it right because the circumstances evolved over half a century that brought what were two really separate places, Princeton Township and Princeton Borough, together. Over the years, they consolidated a school district. They have a single fire department. They had a single municipal library. They did health services together. They had a single land use board. They had consolidated and shared services in over 13 different areas.
But it worked.
At the end, that process worked beautifully.
And it can work elsewhere, is your argument.
It could certainly work elsewhere. I mean, I think the issue is that, I have a long history in working with Marc, and I think Marc, in his tenure in state government, was a shining example of a public servant in terms of advising local municipalities on the options available to them in shared services and consolidation. The issue I have with the study is not so much the study itself, it's the way the study has been portrayed. And the study, the issue that I have with it is that it's essentially saying that, perhaps small towns, have a similar per capita cost to larger towns, or it's slightly less. But that, metaphorically speaking, has severe problems. Small towns don't have the same service delivery. They don't have the same service efficiency. And in many cases, they don't have police departments, or they have very tiny police departments.
Did the services improve in Princeton?
Definitely.
They definitely improved.
They definitely did.
And you saved $3.2 million.
We actually exceeded that final estimate.
So Marc, why can't they do that elsewhere?
The people who live in communities don't just think of those boundary lines as having to do with government. They see it as their community, which has a lot of other implications.
Does the sense of community go away?
No.
It doesn't, but in the case of the Princetons, and when we started the process, one of the questions that we had posed to the community was, are you one community or two? If you're two different communities, maybe two governments make sense. But if you're really just one community where you do things together, where your shopping does together, your religious institutions, your social institutions, all merge as if those boundary lines don't exist, then you really need one government.
Isn't that consolidation to the max at that point? You're bringing churches together.
And this is the whole issue.
But it's rather they already were together.
But this is the whole issue. We weren't together in the two single departments that cost the most to administer, police and public works. And you have that problem throughout the entire state of New Jersey. And if you think that you're going to have significant joint police forces with serving two masters, you're crazy. It's not going to happen. The home rule mayors will not allow that to happen. The only way to get to that at that point, and Marc is right, we did share a lot of shared services. But what I don't like, and what I have a concern with in the state, is that we can't just simply say shared services works and consolidation doesn't, or vice versa. They both can work.
Yeah, and that's what your agreement is.
This is the agreement, but the problem is that we can't just simply apply a single template to every single town, but there are certainly a lot of opportunities. We have 565 municipalities, we have 590 school districts, 188 municipalities in the state of New Jersey have less than 5,000 residents. We have a myriad of opportunities. What we lack are resources delivered at the state level to address both consolidation and shared services and incentives to propel these municipalities
Marc,
to
I'll give you the last
solutions.
word. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll give you the last word. We're out of time.
The challenge with those small communities is a lot of them are rural communities that don't have police departments. They're provided by state police. If you start consolidating them, they may lose that state police coverage because now they're a larger municipality and things change.
But that's just some of the communities, right? But you agree, I think the point of agreement here is it would work in many communities.
You have the potential for it to work in communities where it makes sense. I'm not going to quantify
Should we start there?
Sure. I'm not going to quantify it, though.
Yeah, it's time for us to leave the status quo.
Thank you both. I wish we had more time. We should do a town hall on this, actually. It's a great topic. Marc Pfeiffer, professor at the Bloustein School of Planning and Public Policy at Rutgers University, and Chad Goerner, former mayor of Princeton Township. Jersey Matters continues right after this.